Hey man, I'm Bronson, and I want to talk about how you can go about getting signed flesh and blood cards for your collection. Now, just to give you a rundown of how this video is going to go, I'm going to first talk about, why you might consider getting signed flesh and blood cards, and then I'm going to pivot into how you go about getting them signed, and then I'm going to go off in a really long ass tangent rant about, my personal collection and my experiences with signed cards. Now first off, I'm going to get into it. You say, Bronson, I like flesh and blood cards, but I think they have enough ink on them already. I don't really want more ink. I don't want anything ruining the picture. And that's fine, man. If you like your flesh and blood cards how they are, that's good. But if you're like, hey, Bronson, I'm a collector and I really like the artwork and I think the artist did a pretty decent job on this. I think that they did a pretty damn good job on this artwork, and it would be pretty nice to have their signature on the card to represent like some piece of collection history. That's why you get cards signed. It's because you're trying to really, as a collector, you really love the artwork and you're really digging it, so you want that extra piece on the card. Now, personally, I want to get into the value first, and I'll tell you, this is not investment advice. This isn't any monetary value advice. I am Bronson. I am just a guy in a room. Do whatever you want with your cards, but this is kind of just my opinion and my take on this. So, when you have a flesh and blood card, or if you have any card of any TCG, I personally, if it's over maybe $10 to $20, I do not get that card signed. Unless it's a certain circumstance, that card, I want it to retain its value because, if you when you put the ink on the card, when an artist signs the Flesh and Blood card or any other TCG card, it kind of takes the value out of it because you're going into another market. You're not going into, the regular card market. You're doing a signed card market. And personally, I like to have cards that aren't as valuable, maybe to that $1 to $2 to $3 range. I like to get those signed. And because when you get them signed, you're really putting value into the artist's signature. So whatever that artist's signature is worth is really added to the card. And I think it really adds, a little value to it. So it might make it a $5 card instead of a $1 card. But in a sense, like, it's really cool to just have like cool artwork, in my opinion, instead of expensive cards. Now you can also get expensive cards signed, but just to note, the market for unsigned cards of that version, you were basically negating that market now. You've moved into another market of signed stuff. So essentially what I'm saying is I would highly push away you from getting your legendaries or fables signed at this time. I mean, it's up to you. But what's really cool is just like when you get them signed, you can look at that card and you're like, wow, like the artist who drew this like really nice art, he actually took the time to put his signature on this very card, and it's really a piece of history, and that's why I like it. That's why I've liked it in other TCGs, and it's really cool to have multiple cards and you're like, wow, like this is a piece of collection history. What's interesting too is if you look at other like different like Reddit posts and everything, you'll see people who have signed cards from artists and from other people, and you're like, oh wow, that's an awesome prize. Well, dude, you can get it too. You can get it, and I'm gonna go into that now. So a lot of people really are never gonna do this because it's kind of weird, and I'll totally agree. When I first went about getting signed cards, it was such a weird thing. But guys, just take a deep breath. It's really no big deal. Literally, here's step one. Step one, you Google. You Google, you look on the internet, you look at what artists are signing what, and you figure out essentially what artists are in your country of origin. Do that first. That's what I would do. Try to find an artist that's relatively close to your location so you can do the local mail, but then find out if they do signatures, find out their email. And when you email them, right, here's what I do. I say, hey, how's it going? My name's Bronson. I love your artwork. One of my favorite artworks that you have is X or Y or Z. I say, hey, I really like your art. And then I say, I'm contacting you because I would really like to get a couple of my cards signed. Do you possibly have this? And in the email, you want to put, like, I can put my cards in a self-addressed sealed envelope, SASE. I'll get into that in a sec. but say, hey, I'll do that, and let me know if you charge any for money for the signings. Usually I spend around $1 per card in signatures, which is really not that bad, but that's kind of the rate that I generally try to give. But a lot of them are nice. A lot of artists are like, hey man, I'll sign it for free. But basically that's how it goes. Just say, hey, look, here's who I am. I love your art. Would you be able to sign them? And then sincerely, your name, right? And then once you send it to them, hopefully you get an answer on coming back to you, and they say, hey, either they say no, and then you have to move on and do this, repeat this whole step, or if they say yes, which is what happens most of the time, they said, hey, yeah, here's my address, or here's my PO box. Ship your cards here, and I'll be able to sign. And yeah, so once you have the okay from them on an email, so the step one ending is you get an address to send your cards to. Now, what you want to do is you want to gather some supplies. You want to go around your house and get some supplies. Okay, first supply that you'll need are 2 envelopes. 2 envelopes with 4 different stamps. These are forever stamps. I am located in the United States. I don't know where you are, but try to get like a certain number of stamps that meet a criteria. So in the United States, I would definitely put 2 forever stamps here, two over here. You might be able to get different like postage rates, if you know any of this crap, then you could do a better job. This is how I do. This is the easy way. So 2 envelopes with stamps. The next thing you're gonna need is this binder. Ooh, okay, so what this is a binder that's been cut. It's like those 9-page binders that was like sawed off right here, but this is like the best thing to transfer these cards in if you're doing an envelope. This is the best by far that I've found. Now, sometimes there is some little damage on the cards that I have found. Generally, that only happens 1% of the time for all the cards that I've sent. And, it does add up over the, a good amount of time, but it's no big deal, in my opinion. And especially because when you're getting more ink on these cards, you're kind of ruining it from a near mint perspective when you draw on it. So, I don't care as much, but I feel like this is the best thing that you can do, especially since there's the top loaders, the plastic ones. You don't want to ship your stuff in that, especially in these envelopes, because what's going to happen is the postal service, they come back and they try to put the envelopes through the machine, and that hard plastic really f's up their machine, and then they charge you a couple extra dollars. You don't like this is what I found that works every time. And what I do is I put 7 cards here, 7 cards here, and 6 cards here. Sometimes you can add a little bit more. That's up to you, but I'm telling you, like, that's very safe if you put 7 here, 6 here, 7 here. Now, another thing that you're going to need is a piece of paper. And what you need this for is you want to write a really nice thing to the artist. And a lot of artists, they don't tell you this, but please do this. Just say like, hey, my name is Bronson. I am a little guy, your art makes me happy, and just tell them that you really appreciate what they're doing, because guys, they're just a normal person too. They're just an artist in a room. They're not a normal guy like Bronson. They are a big artists, but they're people as well. They have their own feelings and brains and everything. You gotta make them happy that they're actually doing something that is like doing something good in the world, and they are. They're taking their time to actually sign your cards. So, I would really encourage that, especially if you want to, have a long-term relationship with these artists to where you can get more stuff signed in the future. But other than that, I just recommend it because it's a nice thing to do. The next thing you're going to need is some money. money. So like I said earlier, I usually pay like $1 per card signature. You can do what you're comfortable with, but for me, even if an artist says, hey, I'll sign for free, I usually put in some money just because, they're taking their time out of their day. And when they get, a little bit of money for it, it really makes them happy, and it makes them want to sign more. So, I really appreciate it. And not only that, but when you're getting, like, let's say 20 signed Flesh and Blood cards, each card is going to be worth more than $1. It's going to be worth way more than $1, in my opinion. I mean, if you get a card signed for, let's say the card is worth $1. You get it signed, so the signature was $1. So you're at $2 cost. And then the shipping with all this stuff, maybe everything comes out to $3. You're probably going to get like $7 if you try to sell this thing, maybe more. I can't tell you exact price. Again, I'm not an investment advisor or telling you investment advice or any type of monetary value advice. I'm telling you about collector advice. But the point is, I give money to the artists, even if they don't ask, because I think it's no big deal, and you get a lot of value when you get stuff signed. So once you got those three things, or no, four things. So you got your two envelopes. What you're going to do is one of them, you're going to self-address it to yourself. So you're going to put your address and your name here and everything there. And then you're going to hold this off to the side. Then you're going to have this thing, and you're going to put the artist's address in the center here. So this goes to the artist, right? So you get this artist's address that they gave you the email, step 1. Step 2, we got all our stuff. So step 3 is putting everything together. Once you've gotten your money, gotten your note, got everything in your cards, and you got this, step 3 is putting it all together. So you have the envelope to the artist. Then what you do is you get your cards, you put your money in here. So what I like to do, and I'll show you in a sec, is in the front run here, I like to put it in between the cards. I like to sandwich it in between there. Yeah, so see this? I put it in there, and you can't see it from the back. You can see a little bit peeking there, but that's no big deal. But long story short, you want to put it in the middle of the stuff, so if somebody opens it up, they don't see it. But the artist will definitely see it once they've opened your package. So I put the money in there, and then what I'll do is I'll take my nice note to the artist, and I'll put it around so it covers this like this. Then I will get my envelope to the artist. So this is going to the artist, and I will put this in here like this. There we go. Then step 8 is you take this envelope that is for you, that was self-addressed, you fold it multiple times like so. So you fold it like this. And I like to fold it like this and like this. And then on the top here, let me see if I can get this on camera. You put it over like this. So this is your self-addressed sealed envelope, the SASE, and you put it all over here like this. And the point of the SASE self-addressed sealed envelope is when the artist gets this, he's going to dump it all on his desk, he's going to sign all of your cards, he's going to put it back in the thing, and then he's going to use this envelope to put all the stuff back in and ship it back to you. So this is very important. If you don't include this, it's going to be a bitch for him or her to send your cards back. So you want this envelope that's self-addressed to you, and you put it on the top here. There we go. And then you close it up. Somehow. You'll figure it out. You'll figure out how to close an envelope. I have faith in you guys. And that is step 3 is, putting it all in here. And then step 4 is obviously taking it to the mailbox, shipping it off, and then waiting. So a normal amount of time I think to wait is probably at least 3 weeks. And I know that's a long time for a lot of you guys, but honestly, trust me, it's worth the wait. And these people are taking their time. I don't, but even still, I don't try to bug the artists at all. It was a funny story is, I think it was 3 weeks ago, I had gotten an envelope back to me from an artist, and it took them 5 months to sign my cards and get back to me. And you know what I thought? I thought, wow, this is awesome. I got my cards back. I didn't think like, wow, it took him a long time. No, guys, you have to realize these are just people as well. They're very nice people. They've been really nice to me in the past, and I really appreciate all the artists signing stuff for me, because at the end of the day, they don't have to do anything. So I just really appreciate their time, and I'll encourage you, step 4, right? please give them time. Do not keep emailing them. Do not keep taking up more of their time. Just let them have it. If maybe 4 or 5 months goes by, then contact them if you're a little antsy and you really want stuff. But other than that, just let it be. But and then the final step, once you get your cards back, it is the best feeling ever. Once you get your cards back and you say, wow, like, all my cards, like all 20 of these cards are signed by the artist. It's such a cool feeling. Like, it really makes all this bullshit kind of like mean something. Cause I'll tell you, it took me a long ass time to get into signed cards. I was the biggest like anti like mail person ever. I hated writing mail as a kid. I hated it. It sucks. But when I got signed cards, it's just so cool because like you put in a lot of work to actually put the envelopes together and all that stuff and mail it out. But once you get it back in the mail and seeing the signed stuff, it's just a really cool thing. And I want to rant at the end. I did this a lot for Magic the Gathering, and I was really into signed cards. And I got into it because I was paying maybe like $10, $5 a card, and it got really expensive. It got so expensive to where I was just like, man, like how can I like do this? I want to get more signed cards, but I just don't want to spend so much money. And this is honestly a really good way to cut costs down for that. And not only that, man, like especially with Flesh and Blood, I've seen so many people, they get these signed like playmats and signed cards from the artists that I think Legend Story Studios has sent them. But guys, you can go out and you can email these people directly and you can like form relationships and get stuff back. And I don't really want to disclose who I'm like sending my stuff to at this time. I've only contacted, I think I've only contacted one artist, and I have stuff in the works. Haven't gotten anything back yet, but I will tell you that there are artists out there in the Flesh and Blood community that are willing to sign cards. I don't want to tell you their name in a video because I don't want you to like, I don't want this wave of people to like you know bum rush their email address. But just to let you know, like, try to find artists in your country that are willing to sign, and email them. Just be nice, just be a nice person, and they'll be nice back. And one story that I thought was cool, I will tell you. So in Magic the Gathering, one artist that I thought was really cool is Dan Frazier. So he sent me my cards back, and it was really cool. Like, I sent him a really nice, like, I sent him a really nice message, right, on a piece of paper, and he sent me a nice message, and look, he made a little drawing for me, and he signed his name. Isn't that crazy? Like, I thought that was so cool. Like, and I'm not telling you that all artists are gonna do something like this, but I'm just saying that, like, a lot. There's been a lot of cases where when the artist sends stuff back to me, they're real people, and in the emails too, they're just really nice people, and I just want to send a shout out to that, because I feel like there's so much like mystique and facade around, like, oh, the artists, only Legend Story Studios, or only Wizards of the Coast, they can only talk to the artists, the artists are, no, like, you guys can talk to them too. And I mean, I've what is it, I've like seen a lot of artists on different platforms in the Flesh and Blood community, and they reach out to you, or they you can comment on their stuff and you can interact with them, and that's so cool, man. Like, think about it, like different artists that made cards or made the artwork for cards, you can have a personal conversation with them, and that's really cool. And it went into my thing a while back. I said you can talk with the Flesh and Blood community, and a lot of the artists in different communities I've seen are really awesome. They're really great people, and they really care for their fans, because they want to put stuff out creatively in the world and be recognized for that stuff. And I feel like when you're a fan and you talk to them and you want their signature, it's just a good feeling all around. So I would really encourage you guys to check it out. And I know I know this video is extremely ahead of its time. It's extremely ahead of its time. Nobody's thinking about like getting artist signed stuff, I feel, or the thought process on that is like so low. But I want to tell you is that people evolve in a game. first you play as a player and you're like, oh, this is a fun game. I like playing Flesh and Blood, la la la. And you play it for a couple of years, and here's what's going to happen. There's a large segment of the population of Flesh and Blood. They're going to feel nostalgia. They're going to feel happiness. They're going to feel like really good about the artwork and everything. And they're like, oh yeah, like not only am I a player, but I like to collect these things in a binder. And then they're going to transition to that more collector kind of vibe person. And then once they're a collector, like, oh, like I see that these cards are signed. That looks pretty cool to me. I would like to have that. And it's going to transition them into that kind of collector, into signed cards. That's not going to happen 100% of the time. I'm just saying, as the years go by for this game, more people are going to transition from players to collectors, and then finally, to the segments of being like a signed collector. It definitely is a lower market than all the other markets for a trading card game, but I personally have been that guy in other card games, and I really look forward to doing that in Flesh and Blood. It's going to be hard, especially because all these artists are in different countries, so it might be hard for you depending on what country you live in. But hey, maybe you get lucky and you find like a really cool artist that's in your country that you're able to get really cool signatures from, because it's a really awesome feeling to be able to just email an artist and have a good conversation, or have a conversation at all, and see that they're happy that the community of Flesh and Blood is big, and people respect their art and people like them. And yeah, I know I'm rambling a lot more, but I really enjoy signed cards. And I know that out there, a lot of people are probably feeling a little frustrated that they couldn't get their hands on Alpha, or the beta for Flesh and Blood, the Arcane Rising and the Welcome to Wrath. They couldn't get those premier cards, but I feel like this is another opportunity for people to have something of collectability value to them, and have something special. So just wanted to make a video explaining that, because I don't think that people really understand that you can just mail people your cards and then they send them back. And to reiterate, you first have to email them, make sure it's okay, figure out where they live, and then once you know where they live, or you have a PO box, then you formulate what I've told you before is the envelope, and then you put your cards in with the money. If you want, I would recommend it. And then you also have like a nice message as well, and then you put that self-addressed sealed envelope, and again, that self-addressed sealed envelope is inside the main envelope to that person, and it's an envelope that is addressed to you, so he can just easily send it back. And yeah, you might have to wait like 3 to 4 weeks, but guys, time moves fast. You're gonna get it, like you're gonna get it eventually, and it's really cool to have like a little piece of history. Anyway, thanks for listening. No, I ran a lot in the end there. Hope you guys enjoy this information. Please reach out if you have any questions about stuff. But again, I don't want to tell you who to contact, who to do anything at this time. But there are a lot of great artists for Flesh and Blood that yeah, are really nice. Thanks for watching. Happy hunting.